There is a silent contract, an unwritten rule that most of us sign in childhood without even reading the fine print. It's the dangerous and deeply rooted belief that our worth, our right to feel loved, and our happiness fundamentally depend on the validation of other people. If you've built your life on this premise, know that you are not alone, but also know that you are living on a foundation of sand. To condition your well-being on external approval is, inevitably, to erect an emotional house of cards, setting yourself up for an endless, painful cycle of disappointment. It is undeniably wonderful and deeply human to receive support, affection, and recognition from those close to us. The warmth of shared affection is, without a doubt, one of life's greatest joys. However, an immense and subtle danger arises when this external source becomes the primary or, worse, the sole means by which you measure your own worth. To depend exclusively on others to fill an inner void is like trying to quench thirst with salt water. In the short term, the momentary relief might feel real, but in the end, the thirst only intensifies, leaving a bitter trail of sadness, irritation, frustration, and a loneliness so deep it feels like an abyss. Many people go through decades of their lives with a persistent nagging feeling of not being loved or valued enough. Unconsciously, they turn to others. Romantic partners, friends, family, bosses, and even the number of likes on a post, in a desperate attempt to fill this existential vacuum. This search, however, almost always ends in hurt and disillusionment. The fundamental truth, which can take years of pain to discover but is absolutely transformative when understood, is this: the love you so eagerly seek out there must, first and foremost, be cultivated in here. The journey to fill that void doesn't begin with others. It begins and ends with you. To whom do you give your power? Reflect honestly for a moment on this crucial question. To whom have you given the power over your own emotions? Without a genuine connection to your spirit and your inner strength, it's dangerously easy to cede control. The inability to set firm, healthy boundaries transforms you into a passive receptacle for the expectations, moods, and judgments of others. The inevitable result? A life dominated by negative emotions that seem to come from nowhere, but were actually allowed entry. Toxic relationships, in this context, can become brutal and painful mirrors, reflecting the hardest, yet most necessary lessons for your spiritual growth. The greatest, most important, and most liberating of all lessons is this: learn to become your own, inexhaustible source of love. When you finally find the courage to dive deep beyond the layers of internal wounds and scars accumulated over a lifetime and discover the infinite reservoir of love that resides at the core of your being, the transformation is monumental. The feeling is as if a million-pound weight has been suddenly lifted from your shoulders. You wake up feeling a genuine, unexplainable joy simply for being alive, and life, perhaps for the first time, begins to make profound, vibrant, and resonant sense. This spiritual metamorphosis is rarely an easy or linear path. It is a process that can, at times, feel dark, confusing, and lonely. It is the struggle inside the cocoon. It demands an unwavering commitment to practices that once seemed foreign or dispensable, like daily meditation, conscious self-care, and the relentless pursuit of a purpose that sets your soul on fire. It is through this dedicated journey that one crosses the darkness and emerges into a new light of self-awareness and continuous growth. To walk this path effectively, 5 fundamental pillars must be erected. They are the master keys to learning how to become your own source of love, freeing yourself forever from the dependence on external validation. Pillar 1. Take radical responsibility for your own feelings. If you are not your own source of love, it is highly probable that, in some way, you are experiencing a constant backdrop of depression, anxiety, frustration, or fear. Perhaps you resort to escape mechanisms, food, alcohol, shopping, excessive work, to silence the discomfort. It's possible that you are constantly pointing the finger at your partner, your parents, your friends, or society at large, blaming them for your life situation. It is absolutely crucial to understand this. Until you take full and radical responsibility for your feelings, the suffering will likely persist in an infinite loop. Why? Because it is not, and never has been, anyone else's job to make you feel loved, happy, or whole. Yes, people can and should be kind and loving to you. However, when they are not, as will inevitably happen at times, how do you react? Do you succumb to depression? Do you seek refuge in an addiction? Do you isolate yourself from the world and reinforce the belief that you are unworthy of love? Pointing the finger, even when it feels justified by circumstances, is to live in a victim state, and blaming others for your level of happiness changes nothing about your internal reality. True liberation begins the exact moment you take back your power. When you declare to yourself, "I am responsible for what I feel," a seismic shift begins to happen. You feel genuinely free. You no longer grant permission for another person to be your sole source of love, because you understand that this is your job, and no one in the universe can do it better than you. Make a conscious daily effort to stop pointing the finger. Reclaim your power. If you are in an abusive relationship, your responsibility is to take action to leave it. If you are single and blame an ex-partner for your emotional anguish, your responsibility is to focus on your own healing. You are the only one responsible for your emotional life. Pillar 2. Understand that your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions create your reality. The reason many people exhibit codependent traits and endlessly seek external validation lies in old programming, a tape recorded in childhood that plays continuously in the back of the subconscious mind. These are unhealed wounds that fester and emerge with force during moments of emotional vulnerability, such as when a partner withdraws or a friend disappoints you. This can trigger overwhelming feelings of abandonment, unworthiness, and rejection, creating a vicious cycle of suffering. Your subconscious beliefs are in command, and until they are recognized, questioned, and confronted, this terrible cycle will perpetuate. If you face recurring emotional difficulties, it is almost certain that your dominant thoughts and beliefs about yourself and the world are flawed, likely originating in childhood. We are deeply programmed in the first 6 years of life by our caregivers, society, and our first social interactions. Your thoughts are not facts, they are mental habits. The time has come to deal with any mistaken thoughts and beliefs you carry. Set aside dedicated time to reprogram your brain. Make a list of the negative beliefs you hold about yourself. I am not good enough. No one will ever truly love me. And actively work to transform them into affirmations of power. When you succeed in reprogramming your subconscious, your entire world will change for the better. Pillar 3. Have the courage to confront and heal past wounds. If our thoughts create our reality, the next logical question is, where do these limiting thoughts and beliefs come from? This pillar is perhaps the most profound and challenging, as it demands immense courage to look back and deal with the source of the pain. Many of your current difficulties are merely symptoms of unhealed wounds from childhood that continue to call the shots in your adult life. Confronting and healing these wounds is an active and essential process for liberation. First, you must acknowledge and validate your pain. If you experience trauma, neglect, or invalidation, your feelings are legitimate. You dissociated from them because you were too young to process them, but now, as an adult, you have the capacity to welcome them without judgment. Healing happens when the emotions that were suppressed or denied are brought to light to be processed and integrated. This can be done through therapeutic writing, meditation, or, crucially, professional help. Seeking a therapist is not a sign of weakness. It is an act of extraordinary strength and self-love. By confronting the past, you stop being its prisoner. You break the cycles, heal the wounds, and finally become free to live from a place of authenticity. Pillar 4. Adopt the practice of deliberate and unconditional self-care. While the previous pillars focus on internal and mental work, this pillar is about the concrete, visible actions of self-love. It is the physical manifestation of your new commitment to yourself. Deliberate self-care is the conscious decision to reverse the dynamic of putting others first. This is not selfishness. It is an essential act of emotional and spiritual survival. This manifests in setting firm boundaries, learning to say no without guilt to protect your energy. It manifests in nurturing your body with healthy food and movement, and your mind with silence and peace. And crucially, it manifests in the pursuit of a personal purpose, a hobby, a passion, or a career that makes your eyes light up. When you create something you love, your source of validation becomes internal, drastically reducing your dependence on the approval of others. Self-care is the daily act of treating yourself with the same kindness, compassion, and priority you would dedicate to the most important person in your life. Pillar 5. Embrace the truth that you are the creator of your life. After taking responsibility, reprogramming your mind, healing your past, and practicing self-care, an unshakable truth is revealed. You are the sole creator of your life. Many live with the secret hope that someone, a partner, a mentor, a miracle, will save them. They feel like a frightened child, unsure how to navigate the world. The idea of creating a life you love seems like an abstract concept reserved for others. When the conscious decision to work on my issues is made, the inner life begins to transform. The journey is from insecurity to security, from feeling rejected to knowing that love is a constant inner state. The inner love you cultivate has the power to revolutionize every aspect of your life. Do you feel rejected, unworthy, incomplete? If any of these words resonate in your soul, consider this a formal and urgent invitation. Begin the inner journey. Explore these feelings with curiosity, not with judgment. Assess your relationships. The path to becoming your own source of love is the most challenging and the most rewarding adventure you will ever take.